Day, beautiful souls. Today is September 20th, 2021, and we are meeting under a full moon in Pisces. Now, every month we have a lunar cycle, beginning with a new moon and culminating in a full moon. These are two snapshots, or we could say two keyframes that compose the themes and the energy of every month. My intention in shooting these videos live under the new or full moon is to more so embody the nature of these times and these energies to really demonstrate these two key snapshots. So the new moon every month is when we sow a seed intention that unfolds in the coming lunar cycle. The full moon is a culmination point where we can more so see reflected back what are some of those original intentions sown during the new moon. How is that unfolding? How is that going? So tuning into the new and full moons, the lunar cycle, is very useful. Typically, a new moon and a full moon are in opposite signs. So we're working with polarity magic. The last new moon in Virgo set the tone for the forthcoming month. We sowed a seed for devotional service, for finding our human role. We talked about humility. We talked about the need for forgiveness, to accept when we make mistakes in life as being a vital part of our own human learning journey. What we experience under a full moon in Pisces, which usually comes once a year, is a connection to that divine flow, which is within and in between all things. Again, a full moon is when we really have themes illuminated. We can really see and understand where a full moon is lighting up a particular zodiac sign. So Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, the most mysterious, tricky, and enigmatic sign, being both the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end of all things. Now, interestingly, in Aquarius, which is very much correlated to astrology, we get an objective view of the total network of consciousness, how everything is connected through this map of information, souls, consciousness, different cultures, different nations, all interconnected through the actual intelligence of the species. Now, when we step into Pisces, the water sign of Pisces is the embodied, lived, direct experience of being connected to that which is all pervasive. Again, within and in between all things. How I personally describe the nature of Pisces is our own simultaneous, inconceivable union and separation with the source of all things and with everything else in creation. So what I like to say is that during a full moon in Pisces, we don't even need psychedelics, because this unearthing of this mysterious, inconceivable fabric that flows and interconnects everything is this Pisces intelligence. Now, Pisces is where we learn to develop trust in the divine flow of life, in life's unfolding. And that can be some of the theme as well as the challenge that we experience under this particular full moon. Where is this unfolding leading us? What are we connected to? How can we trust that which we are connected to? This is probably the most challenging aspect of Pisces, is Pisces being so mysterious, so final, so, be all and all, can deal with ideals. So Pisces also illuminates our be all and all goals, where we want to end up in life. Ideals such as unconditional love, us all being interwoven in some meaningful contribution. See, in Pisces, we get a sense of being connected to something bigger than just ourself. We understand that we are actually part and parcel of the divine. We are part and parcel of the cosmos. And so through this trusting, we now experience during Pisces periods this inconceivable flow. We notice the reality of synchronicity. Now, synchronicity we may not have an understanding of or reasons for, but it demonstrates the reality of how much more interconnected everything truly is than we may have been led to believe. And this is certainly going to be a theme that we will continue to recognize this year through next year while Jupiter transits through Pisces at the end of this year through 2022. This is going to illuminate more of this synchronistic reality. Why do things seem to line up magically or mystically? There's a resonance. There's a symbolic resonance. There is a meaning that's there. But in Pisces, we must explore this. I like to say that Pisces is like the finger of God that is beckoning us forward. And the closer we get to God, the further that finger seems to get. And so we're in this eternal romance. Pisces is like an eternal staircase. Or if you've ever listened, I forget what the tone is called, but there's an audio hallucination where it seems to go up a scale forever or down a scale forever. I like to say that that is Pisces reality. So this full moon is going to be, again, illuminating these ideals, these goals, how interconnected we are, trusting this divine flow, and also exploring ideals, because we must trust the divine flow of life, but not necessarily in a way that is in a blind faith or a naive or an over-assumptive type of way. And this is the discernment that we really explore under a Pisces full moon. Is this real? Is this true? It seems too good to be true or too mystical to be true. There's also very haunting experiences that can come from Pisces. Maybe nothing is true. Maybe nothing is interconnected. Maybe there is no meaning. Maybe there is no purpose to life. This is the reality that we explore. Pisces reality, we merge with that which we are surrounded with. If we are so close with somebody, we merge with them, and then we have the sense of being alone when we are together. We start to have the sense, who am I? So this is Pisces reality. It's when everything starts to bleed through into everything else. And through this is the mystical discovery of interconnection. And the challenge, again, is in the discernment. The sign opposite to Pisces is Virgo. And this is discernment. This is healthy boundaries. This is understanding how to connect that inspiration, Pisces, the excitement, the dreams. This is a full moon that brings us closer to the astral plane, brings us closer to the interweaving of lifetimes. And again, it's like these symbols, these images bleed through. Pisces is color, sound, dance, movement, flow. And we start to tune into this divine flow. Now, the sun is going to move into Libra just here in a few days, September 22nd. This is our fall equinox, northern hemisphere, spring equinox, southern hemisphere. I'm going to be sharing with you that much of the energy upcoming these next couple months really does have this orientation towards relationship, connection, exchange, collaboration. This is where a lot of new directions can be born, as well as where there can be so much opportunity to explore and experiment and discover where and how we're coming together. Under this full moon, we see Mars in Libra, opposite to the full moon. Part of what this full moon, this Pisces, dreamy, idealistic reality can be illuminating is, where do we want to go together? How can we collaborate to honor this future vision, to honor this dream and this goal for reality? Sometimes this requires bubble bursting in order to end the patterns of deception that actually lead us away from the true goals or the true love or the true spiritual surrender. And this is what we are, again, cultivating. Pisces is the type of spiritual surrender where we no longer have to take everything personally, but rather trust in that divine flow to the point of being carried. So when we clear ourselves of egoic distraction, again, we've been working on this last month as the sun transited Virgo. Every year, Virgo season, again, early fall and Northern Hemisphere, this is cleaning time, time to purify, time to remove distraction. As a result of this, the inspiration begins to flow, the dreams start to come through, and even though they may be mysterious, we can tune into that divine flow, we can tune into these feelings, and ultimately this leads us into the trust and surrender where we can be carried as a channel. We don't necessarily have to have every single detail planned out in terms of these new directions, relationships, collaborations, how we're earning money, how we're doing our job. What's changing is we're learning to honor nature. Pisces is nature with a capital N. Pisces is the raw elements. That which we are born out of, that which we are part and parcel of. So we are returning to our nature and trusting our nature and rebuilding our life, our relationships, our work, to honor our nature. This is the goal. This is why I do these videos. This is why I'm into astrology. Now Venus, very, very, very front and centric this next month. As I mentioned in the last video, this is money, this is relationship, this is energy exchange. This last week, Venus squared Saturn in Aquarius. Now Venus entered into Scorpio about a couple weeks ago, and this is where things get deeper, realer, more intense, more intimate. It's where the deeper unconscious material starts to get swept up into our conscious understanding. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for counseling, for therapy, for exchanging of ideas, where there's going to be material coming up from the deep, deep down below. Pluto is stationing direct these next several weeks. This is always a time period where these type of unconscious releases can be swept up. And this is very much happening through the magnetism of relationship. Venus in Scorpio, ruled by that Pluto, stationing direct, is going to be very sensitive to this attraction-repulsion dynamic, this magnetism that can take place between people, between hearts, and this is what we're exploring. What is that unconscious material? Where is that coming from in myself? This is extremely important that we honor. It's not wrong for us to initiate conflict. It's not wrong for us to speak about things that are messy or unresolved, or we feel a little bit ashamed or embarrassed, because wouldn't it be nice if we were Mr. or Mrs. Perfect and looked totally polite and everything was always nice and happy, but that would be bullshit. That's how we sell our soul. So when we have emotional eruption or we have deep feelings, there's going to be some opportunities to really dig in and explore, make some adjustments here. So again, Venus is already in Scorpio and square Saturn this last week. And you know what? That's a bit heavy. That's like we're experiencing some barriers in relationship, or some limitation, or some blockages of our own heart. And this can be driven by fears, by insecurities. This also certainly brought up the dynamic of money, as I'm sure many of us are aware of. My gosh, money is changing. Economy is changing. People are feeling very tired and very worn out from doing the same thing in these COVID years. The COVID years are here to help us reprioritize. What's the purpose of our life? Are we here to professionally become a workhorse so that way when it's retirement time we don't even know how to relax? Is the purpose of our life just to train ourselves into becoming the ultimate machine? You know? So this is what's breaking down. COVID is a Pluto event. Pluto is transiting its own south node. Pluto is biological disease, and when Jupiter conjunct Pluto, we saw that biological disease spread. Pluto is also biological mutation. We're all mutating, the collective, the world, the society, structures are mutating through this reprioritization. What really matters? When people are dying, what really matters? When we have a limited time with one another, what really matters? This is some of the deeper material we can be digging into, and Venus wants intimacy, actual connection, actual exchange of soul material. This is what happens through our relationships. When we get deeper into intimacy, we exchange soul information. We exchange information from the unconscious. These are our blind spots, the parts that we cannot see. So there's a lot of exposure going on these days. There's also a lot of exploration again. We're learning about other people's realities. This is Mars in the sign of Libra. Mars is now transiting through Libra through the end of October. Libra is ruled by Venus. So again, Mars is wanting to explore desires and initiate new directions via our desires with others. Yeah? It's like we want to be the individuals that we are and do what we really want to do and contribute that in some way, shape, or form. So we're really exploring intimacy and connection. This is also very much changing how we exchange money. For those of you who experience some of the shutdown, the blocks, opening our wallet and the fly comes out, this last week while Venus squared Saturn, well, this next week, Venus will oppose Uranus, September 23rd. And what I suspect is that the tension, the pressure, the gravity, the depression of Saturn, limitation, a lack of support, the exchange not being reciprocal, again, the money not being totally there. This is a springboard. It's forcing us to break down the old patterns, how we did relationship, how we exchanged energy, how we did money. It is a springboard to reinvent all of the above. How are we exchanging? Are we really ourself in this relationship? Are we really ourself in this job? How can we liberate ourselves? Might there be new or different ways to exchange energy, to collaborate, to do our work? Maybe previously it was considered impossible. We were raised to believe that we have to work in the cardboard factory, just like Grandpa, The world's fastly changing. There's all of these alternatives, these future roles, these future jobs that our culture hasn't recognized that we need. And that's what we're really waking up to this time. I mean, this year, I have been redundant saying this is the year of experimentation. It's not even necessarily about being understood. It's not even necessarily about having everything figured out. This year is the breakdown of old structures of consciousness. This is the year where I'm suggesting taking risks because you can really pay it forward. Doing something very different can be tremendously liberating, can really introduce these new paths of interconnection that can be truly supportive and truly aligned with our heart. This is what Venus actually is. This full moon today is illuminating nature and the inconceivable divine dance and flow between all things. We are born as nature. We are born to flow. We are born to honor what's in our hearts. We are born to share what is inside of us. This is the feminine principle, the moon and Venus. So we have to change the outer structures of society that did not acknowledge or honor nature, certainly did not have an understanding of the total diversity of nature when we were in the industrial age, when it was all about the wars that we were fighting and the goods that we were creating in the factory. There's a tremendous bias formed by society and culture. So we must liberate ourselves from these biases, these limitations, these blinders, by returning to our spontaneous, natural essence. The point here is, when we are in our heart's essence, this is where things flow. We don't have to go against the grain of our nature. We discover our greatest gifts are uniquely coming from ourselves. Now, having been born and raised in this culture, having gone to public school, We get so many labels and identities that are extremely limiting because they prevent us from actualizing the gifts coming from our individual nature. There's so many mental disorders. There's so many stigmas and stereotypes and projections and assumptions. And we, like children, soak this up. Or we, as children, soak this up. This is Pisces reality as well. Whatever is around us, that early childhood, that family dynamic, we were a sponge to that. We adopted and assumed so many beliefs that are not natural to who we are. Our life is about breaking out of these things. This time period is about breaking out of these things. It's not just wishful thinking or this is what I'm selling. This is the era in which we're born. We can clearly objectively see that the traditions that led us up till now are failing. The old structures are failing. Do we know what the Aquarius age is going to be? Do we know what our future life is going to be? No, we have to break it in. Like breaking in a new pair of pants or a new pair of shoes. We got to try on a bunch of different things and see what really fits. Now, in a kind of superficial but humorous example, I'll share a little Mars reflection here. Again, Mars and Libra, we're exploring the realities of other people. We're exploring what other people value, what other people like. And then we recognize, oh, your heart values this. This is your love language. This is how you desire to connect. And how can we support you in having your needs met? How can we support you so you can share what's inside of you easily and effortlessly? So again, it's a superficial example, but part of my experiment this year is I'm being a little bit more diverse with my clothing. I'm a very Taurus person, and how I dress reflects my mood. And I have always, since I was a child, preferred particular fabrics and textures, and I would have been wearing skirts and wearing makeup since I was a child because that's simply what I like. So I'm stating this publicly now because I've got so many people not even talking to me, but talking like he said, she said, like, oh yeah, Timothy's transitioning. And you know, that's quite an assumption. I can understand why people will have this assumption. I know this is a very popular and common phenomenon right now. It's a part of this Aquarius period. We're breaking in a new age where there's not just male and female gender, which was actually never nature. Never nature. Right? Third gender was in every single culture, and there was like 82 different sexual orientations in the Egyptian period, so we've really, relapsed during the medieval period. But anyways, I'm publicly stating that I'm not transitioning. This is all just self-expression, and I didn't feel a need to go into detail or explain that because it's all self-expression. But I do think it's good that we can share and explain ourselves. So, I lost hundreds of subscribers because I was cross-dressed in one of the videos a couple times ago. And it's just like, well, that's part of the experiment, is I want to connect with people that want to connect with me, right? And this isn't a big deal. This is superficial. This is just what I like. Taurus is skin deep. Taurus is what feels good, is good, and that's a lot of who I am. So again, that's just a superficial example I'm using because no, I'm not transitioning, and don't tell everybody in the world that because it isn't really helpful for me. We probably want to talk to somebody before we start assuming the very complex interwoven details of what goes on deeply in a soul. So this is the opportunity, though. We can go there. We can talk about these things. Hey, why are you like that? What makes you tick? And this is, again, going to bring a lot of fruition in terms of collaboration. I really think that this time period can be bringing people together in new ways. We can be initiating new projects. We can be initiating new circles. But it's the time to come together, establish a new level and dimension of intimacy. And the goal here is, again, to be supported. We have so many core missing needs in our society and culture. Most of these missing needs reflect the feminine essence. I'm speaking energetically here. Feminine being inside, changing, having to do with mood, body, sensuality. These are all the needs that we have demonized throughout centuries of patriarchal religious conditioning. So we're really, really learning to represent all of our needs, all of our inner essence. It does not matter if our parents gave us permission. It does not matter if there was a seat at the table for you previously. We're going to create a new table these next couple of months. We're going to create a new seating arrangement where everybody can be comfortable. Everybody can contribute. Now, this is Libra wisdom. Libra is about reciprocation, balance, justice. You know, Venus, the ruler of Taurus and Libra, is a part of this gender revolution. As the divine feminine is returning to our conscious awareness, we're recognizing that there is a full diversity of different ways of exchanging and connecting energy between bodies. So again, we're really learning to share what's inside, to create supportive space, and to listen. Libra is listening. Venus is the function of listening. Venus rules the senses. And it's actually through our ears that we can receive so much information, tuning into the other. Chances are we're all unique beings, and so we will listen to others in highly unique ways. We may listen empathically. We may listen more verbally. We're going to discover more of our skills and how to contribute it to the overall recipe, the overall meal, as we're doing the give and take, show and tell, show up and be vulnerable, show up and be supportive. And this is how we're going to be weaving in this new fabric of how we can create new ways of directing our energy and relating to others that can, again, be much, much more supportive and much more fair, and really allowing us to share and communicate what it is we want to bring into school for show and tell. Right now, Mars in Libra is in a grand trine between Saturn and Aquarius, the moon's north node in Gemini. Again, this is a time where we can really be forming new networks. This is a time of forming new communities. This is a time of forming new structures that are pioneering, not reflecting the old traditional religious structures, but rather creating new ways of interconnecting as a species. I mean, we're really evolving the species consciousness this year. Many of us can actually be tuning into and receiving direct downloads from the collective, especially under this full moon. You know, when we have shared dreams, isn't that interesting? I had this symbol come through, you had this symbol come through, you had this dream, I had this dream. We both had this extremely unique idea at the same time. We are interconnected as a species. There is a higher intelligence, which we could say is like the macroorganism, that we are like the fingers or the limbs and the extensions of. And so when we create these supportive circles, these groups, these communities, this is when extremely magical phenomenon starts to take place. Now, so much of what I've devoted these videos to this year, while the South Node has transited Sagittarius, is that we're creating these new communities and supportive groups in ways that are not cults. The ways that we knew support, group, even families, was traditionally cult-like. We all assume the same beliefs. We all dress the same way. We all participate in the same events at the same time. And that is what wounds our individuality as well as our contribution. So it actually suppresses creativity, ingenuity, progression. You know, this is what cult reality destroys. And this is our world. The United States of America is a cult. Disney World is a cult. Sports is a cult. People that are super into their college is a cult. You know, it's like hive mind, right? So we can evolve what hive mind means. We're all interconnected into this information being received from the species. Now, as we're discovering these soul pods and creating these relationships that can be more supportive and intimate, as we're creating these little mini communities, and this is really going to continue these coming months and years. There's these satellite communities, you know. It's like, this has been a part of the theme of this year, North Node in Gemini. I remember talking about this right when I moved up here to North Carolina, how we were going to be meeting a whole diversity of different people. And a part of what we've been learning this last year and a half has been that there are different people on different wavelengths. We've had some experiences of this, have we not? We all don't fit on the exact same wavelength. Heck, we go on to the internet or we turn on the television, we even realize that we're not even tuned into the same reality. What's true for one person is not true for the other person. So just like the television or the internet, we are attuning to the particular channel that reflects our wavelength and that connects us with like minds. And that's taken some time, has it not? This is the importance of the transiting nodes. It's the evolutionary intentions of the species. So the species has had this intention to figure out how can we honor our unique perspective, to be connecting with like minds, so that way we can communicate and understand one another. Now, we're not totally isolating one another either. We're not going to pretend that the different channels or the different people don't exist, but we're also not losing ourselves into the cult-like reality that we should all be on the same page or all attend the same church. The way that we can be creating community from this point moving forward is going to weave together these highly unique individuals that are experimenting and pioneering to liberate their own gifts and essences, which may even be far outside of what we've known as a tradition. And again, how we've created these societies. The reason why I'm always talking about society and changing it is that is the collective intention. We're pulling ourselves out of a prison, military-style way of living, which has been the way of living for thousands of years. We want to skip and jump into the age of Aquarius. This is where I constantly get frazzled at the new age and all the conspiracy theories and the next ascension date. And I have to say, these people talking about ascension dates I usually find are Looney Tunes, because we're not going to skip and jump into the next stage overnight. That's not how reality or evolution ever takes place. We can objectively see this. So, no, we have to resolve the past age. That's how we break in the age of Pisces, or I'm sorry, the age of Aquarius. We're resolving the age of Pisces. We have to resolve all of these beliefs and these ideas that are rooted in fantasy, not realistic. How do we create the future? How are we going to invent the future? We are going to do it as a species. I don't think the UFOs are going to land and depart the golden message, like Moses coming down from the mountain and then everything is fine. We're too interconnected with the extraterrestrials for it to be that blatantly separate. It's like, no, there's an unfolding, there's an interweaving here. We are connected to that, and we are the ones to bring that forward. This is what it means to be, attuned or connected or a channel, And we all have to discover that authentic channel. We all go through spiritual periods of confusion. We think that we're connected to something real, and then we discover maybe it's not exactly what we thought it was, or it's a mirage. But the purpose of this is to decondition the Pisces age. We have to figure out how to bring heaven to this earth in reality. And you know what I suggest? Probably not having beliefs that heaven is somewhere else if we can create heaven here and now. So let's prove to ourselves that we can create a world, a reality, a way of relating and exchanging with others, which includes the exchange of money and exchange of resources. This is the time, folks. Uranus transiting Taurus. Exchange of money, resources. Where's the land? Where's the space? Where's the privacy? So that way we can be humans in bodies. How can we honor our natural biological rhythms? Okay, so we're bringing heaven to this earth. We need to look at each other as pioneers. We need to look at each other with fascination, with curiosity. Who is inside of you? What is that? What is that mysterious essence, that treasure that's deep inside of your heart? How has that perhaps been crushed in some of your past relationships? How has that maybe created a hiding tendency or a distrust in that which we're connected to, the universe? This is what society's done to us. It's damaged us. It's taught us you cannot be free to be yourself. You cannot trust your own divine flow because you've got a 9 to 5, and you're going to get in trouble if you don't contribute in this very particular way. So the spaces, the groups, the collaborations, and the communities is to invent an entirely new way of being where we can be so much more free, so much more connected and supported than we've been led to believe was possible. There's a lot of, opportunity to reflect through our connections. Mercury will station retrograde September 27th. In a grand trine with Jupiter and square to Pluto. Some of this question of, hey, we're kind of in between a rock and a hard space. How can we break down this societal barrier? Or how can we, again, interconnect in a way that allows for a more flowing exchange of resources? This is going to be some of the questions we're asking. And I think the opportunity is really, really going to be more support. It's not necessarily about having all the outward answers while we're going through this highly experimental period. It's like everything's just a giant chemical reaction right now, and it's going to change, and then it's going to change again, and then it's going to change again. So we have to hold a space for this level of flexibility. We have to hold a space for this level of experimentation. And this is where the therapy, the support, our friends, our lovers are essential. Essential. You see, connection is not a codependency. We're not supposed to be monks in a cave connected with God and that's all you need, or breatharian or whatever the fuck. No, we have very real biological needs. So this reflection off of the other is going to be essential now through the start of October. Mercury will station retrograde again end of September and then station direct October 19th, opposite to Chiron. Now, 2 weeks ago, Mercury first transited opposite to Chiron at the start of September. Second week of September, I think, technically. So some of the initial conversations or some of the cans of worms that may have been open or some of those speculations or some of those thoughts or, hey, how are we doing this? Or what can we talk about? How can we show up in supportive ways? This is going to unfold. There's more to come. There's more skeletons to come out of the closet. There's more deep, intimate, complex, unconscious material to explore. So we all get to be therapists for one another. It's certainly a time to seek out that type of reflection and connection where, again, we're simply taking time to tune in, to listen, and there's so much that can be born out of this period. But I think we're going to be doing a bit of a raking up and out in order to clear the space to lay this new table where we can all show up at the table. There's a space for us. We're all included at this table in our own unique way, speaking up for and being heard for our own unique needs. Let's use this as an opportunity to test drive and experiment with how we can be interconnected in more supportive, balanced, harmonious, and equal ways. Happy equinox point. The sun enters Libra September 22nd. This is our fall equinox, northern hemisphere. The symbol for Libra is the sun on the horizon. During the equinox point, the sun is aligned with the equator. We have even day and night. The symbol is that we can balance what's inside, what's outside, who I am as a unique individual, the freedom that I need to discover who I am as a unique individual can be in balance with the support and the collaboration in bringing other unique individuals into the overall recipe in a way that can be very synergistic. I am absolutely wishing you all the very best. First, I gotta mention some things. I'm always forgetting to plug my stuff. So, I had a raffle this was when the great cross-dressing fiasco took place. It was tongue-in-cheek. I just felt like dressing up like a Halloween witch that day. Uh, I'm going to do a live drawing of the raffle winners this coming week. Okay, so stay tuned for that. For those of you who are looking for the support, I should have been plugging this the whole time. Please join our community. It is free to join. You can also join our Q&A circle or our Astro School for $12. You get to join our Q&A circle. You know, if you're going through a hard time and you can't wait for a full reading or you can't afford a full reading, $12. I will speak to you and give you a 10-minute mini reading. Look at your chart. We do it as a group. It's a very collaborative group endeavor. And we do have to be vulnerable because we're showing up as a group. We're sharing our birth chart. But it's an incredible way to learn and test drive evolutionary astrology. None of this astrology is belief. The proof's in the pudding. It's objective. You can see it and you can test it. Okay? We also have the Astro School as a part of the community for $24 a month for those of you who want to know astrology and how to interpret your chart, the meaning and purpose of your own and other people's lives. I am just this month completing the planets and the zodiac signs. So we have the introduction phase of this Astro School completed. But again, community is free to join, and the intention of the community is bottom foundation level. This is a supportive space. This is a space to show up and ask for help, to ask for your needs, to share your experience and get support and feedback from others. We're going to build everything up from that ground level. I'm so honored, thrilled, and excited to be able to participate in the creation of these more so group interwoven types of collaborations, because again, I have the feeling it's just going to get more and more mystical and magical, and I hope that you are getting a sense of that, enjoying that, anchoring and embodying that under this full moon in Pisces today. As always, take care.